Story time, kids! I got into heavy metal pretty late, when I was about 13 or 14 years old. I have no older brothers or sisters, and my parents listened to Paul Simon and Jimmy Buffett, so, didn't really look like my office was gonna end up looking like this to begin with. Then I had one friend who I've literally known since kindergarten. We were in a Borders one day, and we went into the CD section. He handed me a CD, and he said, "Buy this." I was pretty much hooked from that moment. I wanted to know everything there was about heavy metal, and eventually I found that I loved it more than anything else I'd ever heard. And that same friend eventually helped me get copies of Megadeth, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden albums, basically anything I would ever want. We even got matching MP3 players so that we could trade music easier. During one of our trading sessions, he gave me a couple of CDs and then went, "Oh no, there was one that I gave you that I didn't really mean to. You might not like it." He was wrong. I'm not lying, exaggerating, or being sarcastic at all. Throughout my late high school and early college years, Sonata Arctica was in fact my favorite band. I don't even need voiceover guy to tell me about this band. I know all of it already.
I've got kids to feed, you son of a bitch!
Shut up. Sonata Arctica is a power metal band completely disregarding the unwritten rule that all great power metal has to come from Germany. They're from Kemi, Finland. They're most well known for their main songwriter and vocalist Tony Kakko's incredible range, lyrics inspired by a combination of fantasy, history, and possibly doomed creepy relationships, and a great fast-paced style made even better by fantastic keyboard and guitar parts. My God, do I love this band. I bought their entire discography, including a couple of bootlegs. I've seen them at least 4 or 5 times, and I have a flag upstairs in my room that's not really hung up, but I have it. Then they got the idea that they're not a power metal band. Tony Kakko's even came out and said they don't like being classified as that. At least he doesn't. And they started going in a more progressive direction. Their first foray into this territory was Unia, which was a lot different, included a lot more progressive sounds. But after a couple of listens, I really enjoyed it. Then they came out with Days of Grays, and although it was okay, my favorite track on it was Flag in the Ground, which was actually written many, many years before. I've actually been getting Facebook banner ads saying that this is the most heavy Sonata Arctica album ever. So let's see if it lives up to the hype. Here is Sonata Arctica's Stones Grow Her Name. Okay, I've got some problems right off the bat. Yeah, I know. Including the albums that have started off with introduction songs and instrumentals, the first track has always really set a good tone for how I'm going to enjoy the rest of the album. Their first album started off with Blank File, a great fast power metal song with an amazing dueling section in the middle. Unia started off with In Black and White, a much more progressive sounding, altogether heavier in nature song that still had a lot of aspects from previous installments. Then there's this.
Only the broken hearts make you beautiful, and one has gotta be mine.
It's catchy, I guess, but it lacks a purpose, a direction. It lacks that the album is going to mean something. It doesn't really make me think the album is going to have anything special. It makes me think that this is just another Sonata Arctica song, and there wasn't a lot of inspiration. Which I have a strong feeling is how I'm going to feel about a lot of this album.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
No, next song. No, skip it, next song.
She got a shitload of money. The night's a mile high, deja vu.
Alright, fine, we'll stick on this. What?
What the hell was that?
I refuse to believe that a band that is as lyrically gifted as Sonata Arctica, who I have flaunted as being one of the most poetic bands I've ever heard in my life, actually made a song called Shitload of Money. Alright, positives. There's gotta be some sort of underlying message here. Let me take a look at this.
Got a shitload of money. For an angel paid for a halo.
Fallen angel paid for a halo. Alright, I think I got this. Basically, it's saying that money does not buy salvation. You can be an impure person and have a lot of money. Money is a great indicating factor of whether you succeeded in life, but it tells nothing about the type of person you are. And it doesn't matter how much money you make, if you don't have that halo or that symbol of perfection, then really doesn't matter how much you spend, make, or earn, you are not any better than the person next to you.
Now that's the first thing you've said right. I don't even know what I'm talking about!
The siren sounding, the screech is warning, all is ending. Night of nights, I'm a child of the world now derailed.
Now this is a Sonata Arctica song. It's nicely paced, it's got great vocals, a little bit of an exaggerated piano opening, but otherwise the musicianship is great, especially the solo. This is actually kind of a turnaround for me in this review because it does show that they can still make good music and they can still write good songs. It's just a lot of the best parts are wedged into other songs that are just covered by all sorts of weird stuff. There's a lot of strange instrumentation on this, a lot of random instruments, including the song Cinder Blocks, which is dominated not by one of the usual Sonata instruments, but a banjo. I mean, I got nothing against banjos. Sometimes banjos can make a song better.
Now you're just losing your
Yeah, I said it. I like Bonded by Banjos better than Bonded by Blood. But still, a power metal band with a banjo, it's just... well, it's ridiculously awesome, that's what it is. But still, it's just much different than anything else I've ever heard from the guys. There have to be a couple of covers on this. Let me just check. This isn't really a cover, but one of the songs is actually written for somebody else in mind in general. And that was this guy. He's actually the winner of the Finnish talent show Idol. I would make a joke here, but I'm kind of just mad that they get somebody who goes into actual heavy metal, and the best we can do is James Durbin. I'll say that I actually enjoyed that performance, but seeing Zakk Wylde on American Idol, it's just kind of creepy. But I think I got a pretty good idea as to what song was written for him. It's the only song on the album that sounds like it had nothing to do with Sonata Arctica at all. Like it was a complete departure. And that song was
The siren sounding, the screech is warning, all is ending, night of nights, I'm a child of the world now derailed.
Losing my insanity? What?
What?
My favorite song on the album so far wasn't even one of theirs? I mean, granted, it was still written by Tony, but it was made for someone completely different. It's like if Judas Priest covered one of Halford's solo albums. That would actually be pretty cool, but never mind, I'm venting. And you know what the worst part of this is? I like the original version much, much better. I prefer the winner of a Finnish reality show to the singer who wrote it, who I am a massive fan of. Do you have any idea how infuriating that is?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I don't even care about the rest of the album. I am so pissed off by this that there is nothing that could change my mind about how I feel about this album. Nothing.
There is a mountain in the horizon, rebuilding the fire. The flames are rising. Strong is the fear and the anger. The bells of my fate play my songs, but I don't want to dance anymore.
They continued Wildfire? No. Still mad. These songs rule. When I first heard there were going to be 2 continuation songs from one of my favorite Sonata Arctica songs, I originally thought it was a bad idea. I generally don't like sequel songs in general. Unforgiven 2 and 3, Godsmack's Voodoo 2, none of them are really continuations of the same story. It's just something that kind of sounds similar. or just blatantly rips it off. But you know what? They pulled it off. I think it's mostly because it works together as a cohesive story. All three parts of the Wildfire saga do tell one coherent plot. And they're good songs, too. You know what? I think that actually takes care of the good, so here's the bad and the ugly. For the bad, my God, a lot of this album is boring. And I don't mean just slow or not power metal-ish. A lot of my favorite songs of theirs are the slower songs. One of my favorites of all time is Shamandalai. I'm just saying that the album doesn't really offer anything different, and that's very hard to do, especially when one of your first credited instruments for the special thanks is a banjo and a full choir. I will say this, on almost every song on the album, there are little sections that I do enjoy, but the good stuff is few and far between. And Don't Be Mean is the closest I've ever seen the band come to an actual filler song, and Load of Money is the first one that's actually made me really uneasy listening to. And for the ugly, I'm really not a fan of the new direction they're going in. I don't like the progressive things dominating the speed metal. When I was thinking about what I liked the most about the songs that I chose, it's because they reminded me of other Sonata Arctica songs that I like much more. Losing My Insanity reminds me a lot of a mixture of My Land and In Black and White, and the Wildfire songs remind me of Wildfire. And as a whole, I'd much rather be listening to Reckoning Night than this album. I'm not saying that the new stuff isn't good, and if you've never heard the band before, you might be into the new stuff. But I'm saying, as somebody who got into them through Winterheart's Guild, it's not as compelling. What I got into them for was the amazing solos, the fast-paced drums, the great vocals, and while all these are present in the album, they're not flaunted. They're shoved in the background to make way for other instruments and crazier sounds. And they don't need to be crazier. They just need to be better. The band really wants you to go with them on this journey that's taking them away from their power metal identity and into a completely more well-rounded band. But honestly, the progressive stuff for me a lot of times is where they fall flat. This album, however, just leaves old school fans with a reminder of what they liked about the band, but a message that says they're pretty much not getting more of it anytime soon. I'm sorry, I can't get over that it's actually called a shitload of money. I really wanted to like this album. I had such high hopes for this. And it's not so much that anything presented here is terrible, it's just that there's little to nothing good about it. There's a few sections that remind me of the old Sonata Arctica I knew and loved, but it's completely overshadowed by the new sound that the band is hammering down our throats. This is the first time I've ever said this about a Sonata Arctica album, and it hurts me to say this. Do not get this, it is not worth the money. This is this band's Saint Anger.
Invisible kid, never see what he did. Gotta stop where the kid, falling through the
I sincerely apologize for that last statement, and I will never say anything that harsh again. But still, this just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I have to get out my aggression. I feel like I have to hit something or rob somebody.
She got a shitload of money.
It's all the motivation I need. Until next time, subscribe to my channel and check out all my other videos, and until next time, remember, life is too short to listen to bad music. Those liars. She didn't have anything. Oh, right.